Hello everyone and welcome back to another screencast on simultaneous equations. It's number 2. We're building blocks. We're almost there. We've got this one and one more to do before you're absolutely superstars in it. It's really simple if you've done the first one and you found that one accessible. This is actually using skills that you should already have to pay those bills. So what is a simultaneous equation? Simultaneous equations are a pair of equations where there is more than one unknown value. We've done this in the last one. That comes from the BBC Bite Size website. Here's an example. We've got an unknown which is x, an unknown which is y. We're going to use these two equations to work with each other to eliminate one of them and then use that value. Now, these are I've set these all up so they're very accessible for you. In the next screencast, we make them a bit more difficult and we change them around. But please remember that these are set up to make it accessible for you. Don't be thrown when they're not as accessible, because the same skills will need to be used to be successful. So you may be thinking, I need some help. That's what I'm here for. Just remember that it's real key that you've already done the screencast before this one, simultaneous equations number 1. So let's go through. These are exactly the same questions that we did before. We've set them up. So we've got 7x on the top. We've got y equals 18. And then we've got 5x minus y equals 14. And we can see our twins there. We can see our identical twins are the y's. But at the moment, they do not eliminate each other. So we have to change those symbols, don't we? We did this last time. So I'm going to change those symbols, and then all of a sudden it makes a lot more sense, because 7x take away 5x gives me 2x, y take away y gives me nothing. I've eliminated that, and that's what I want. And 18 take away 14 gives me 4. So I'm going to write that down below, aren't I? And I end up with 2x equals 4. And we all know how to do this. This is really accessible now, isn't it? We've got 2x equals 4, so we divide both sides by 2, and we end up with x equaling 2. And this is exactly the same as the last screencaster. You'll all be saying, I've done this before. Why are we covering this stuff again? Well, because we haven't finished there. We've only found x. What we're going to now do on today's screencast is we're going to find out what y is. Or once we find out what y is, we're going to find out what x is. We're going to find out both variables. So here we go. What we do is we pick one of these equations. Now, generally, I always pick the equation that I have not modified. Can you see here I've modified this equation? Well, I'm going to generally pick this top one, but you could pick either. It doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer. That's why they're simultaneous equations, because you'll still get the same answer. And all we're going to do is we're going to imagine that all of this stuff no longer exists, and all we have is a brand new question. And the new question is, if x equals 2, what would 7x plus y equaling 8? What would it be? And all we would do is we would take away the x value and input in. So we take away the x and input in its value, which is 2 on this equation. So here we go. So that's the first step. We would take away the x and we'd input the value of 2. So 7 times 2 plus y equals 18. Well, what's 7 times 2? That's 14. So we'll end up with 14 plus y equals 18. You've done this a million times before, haven't you? What would we do now? We've got 14 plus y equals 18. We want to make y the subject, so we're going to minus 14 from both sides, and we end up with y equaling 4. And it really is as simple as that. Now, where people go wrong is they don't forget about the stuff over here. They bring that into the equation. It's called cognitive overload, and they overload their mind, and therefore they can't then simplify it so it becomes easy. If once we've picked our equation we're going to use, forget about all that stuff. Cover it up with a piece of paper. Do whatever you need to do. It becomes really, really simple. So let's go over the next one. So we've got y equaling 4 there. Let's go over the next one. We've got 10x plus 7y equals 39. And then we've got 10x plus 2y equals 34. Now remember our twins. What are our twins? our identical twins are 10x. So all I'm going to do is change all the symbols along there so they're all negatives. Then I'm going to go 10x take away 10x gives me nothing, 7y take away 2y gives me 5y, and 39 take away 34 gives me 5. So simple, isn't it, now that we've done this before? So simple. What do we do now? We should all know we're going to divide both sides by 5, because 5 timesing by y, what's the opposite of timesing? It's divide. That's the reason why. And we end up with y equaling 1. Now, this is the new stuff. We're going to pick either one of these. I'm thinking I picked the top one, did I? Yes, I did. I picked the top one. Now, all we're saying is, okay, well, this time y doesn't equal y, it equals 1. So remember, I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff here in my brain. I'm going to forget about it now. And basically what we're saying is, if y equaled 1, what would this equal? So we would take away y, input the value. Here we go, 10x plus 7 timesing by 1 equals 39. Well, what's 7 timesing by 1? It's 7, so it's 10x plus 7 equals 39. What's the next step? Hopefully you're all screaming at the screen saying, just take away 7 from both sides, sir. And then you'll be left with 10x equals 32. Well, now you're thinking, I can do that. Divide both sides by 10, and we end up with x equaling 3.2. Now, I could go back and input all my values into here, and I would get my answer. I can check it as I go. That is how simple it is. We don't need to make it more difficult. Once we know one value, we just substitute it into the equation to find out the other value. So now I would like you to give this one a go. It is a minus there, but we have done this before. That's the top one. Just remember what, in fact, do you know what I'll do? I will find out, I think, is it one of the two? I think we're going to find out, we're going to find out the x's. Okay, so in fact, I will just pause the video there. I think you can do it from here now. I would like you to find out what x and y are. Give it a go, come back and see if you've got it correct. So 6x minus 2x gives me 4x. 2y take away 2y gives me nothing, so I've eliminated that. And minus 26 plus 10 gives me minus 16. Now you have done this before, remember, so we end up with 4x equals minus 16. Divide both sides by 4, and we end up having x equaling minus 4. Now remember, all we do is we take away the letters and we input the numbers and we try and forget about all this stuff. It doesn't make any difference now. And we're saying that x equals minus 4. So we take away the x and we put in minus 4 to there. So we end up with 6 timesing by minus 4 plus 2y equals minus 26. Work through that one. So 6 timesing by minus 4 gives us our minus 24. Plus 2y equals minus 26. So we add 24 to both sides and we end up with 2y equaling minus 2. Divide both sides by 2. And you can see how we're going, equals minus 1. So we've got x equaling minus 4, y equaling minus 1, and we can put those values back in and make sure we're correct. But we are, because I've done it. So that was a little bit tougher because of those negatives. If you found that tougher because of the negatives, don't be put off. That's just your negative number rule understanding. And I say this on many, many other screencasts. If you're struggling with negative numbers, go over and do the screencast on negative numbers and do it as many times as it takes to get that monkey off your back, because often these little things hold you back in lots of different areas. And it's a key area, isn't it? How many times have I said this, that you've got to go back and make sure that area is spotless? But if it is spotless, this is really, really simple stuff. If it's not, then it's really difficult, and that's the difference. So make sure that you know your negative number rule. But it is time for the quiz. I've tried to pick a nice, simple one for you to do. Find out what x and y is. Come back and see if you've got it correct. So it's time to find out if you really know your stuff, if you're on your path to success when it comes to simultaneous equations. Here we go. So this is how we got it. We got the y equaling 1 by taking away all these and ending up with 5y equals 5. Divide both sides by 5, y equals 1. Then we inputted that value in, and we ended up with x equaling 5.8. So our answer was y equals 1 and x equals 5.8. Fingers crossed you got that correct. Now often in these you won't get these points, but sometimes you will. So just be ready for that as well. Anyway, as always, I'm sure you've done fantastically well. If you haven't, guess what you need to do? I'm not even going to tell you, just guess what you need to do. Definitely write a revision card on this, as always. But until next time, it's been a pleasure helping you with your maths today. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day and you make the most of hopefully some good weather outside. But if it's raining where you are, then I do apologise.